good situation. And some people are very good at handling a good situation, very grateful, very kind, very generous when they're in a good situation, and they are absolutely terrible when they are in a bad situation. Allah will test, because different people have different personalities, different strengths, different weaknesses. Allah will test some people with a lot of good. And they might be a failure, even though in the world it looks like they have a lot of good. And Allah will test some people with a lot of bad, and even though bad looks like bad to us, that might be their ultimate success. So we don't put a value on good and bad experiences in this life based on what we see, because we don't actually know what kind of test that is from Allah. Because it's not just bad times that are a test. It's easy to say bad times are a test. The Quran is not saying bad times are a test. The Quran is saying bad times are a different kind of test, and good times are also a different kind of test. They're both tests. So none of them are some sort of oh no, well this one's going through a bad time, therefore their reward must be higher. We don't know. We don't know whose reward is higher. You know? We don't know if Sulaiman's reward is higher or Ayyub's reward is higher. We don't know. Right? Because they were tested in two very different ways. The value of that is only with Allah. This is again another important difference between us and other religions. Other religions see if you make a lot of money and you're healthy and you're happy, and that means God blessed you. And God's happy with you. And if you lost your job and you're sick and you can't get anything done and failure after failure, that means God has cursed you or God is unhappy with you. We don't have that kind of math. Because we know lots of prophets who Allah loves who had a very hard life. And we also know lots of prophets who Allah loved who had a very good life, very easy life. And some had a mixture of both. So we don't think along those lines. There were a couple of questions here from the boys before the break that I forgot to answer, but I think everybody needed to hear those answers. So I want to see if those boys can repeat those questions. Who asked me a question before the break? Oh, they're gone? Somebody asked about, or one of the girls asked, how, all these religions have their reasons, even if they're bad reasons, but they have their reasons for believing what they believe. How do we know we believe the right religion? That's what she asked. It's a really good question. You know why? Because that's a very Ibrahim alayhi salam kind of question. Isn't that what he was asking his old society? How do you know you're following the right religion? Right? And the answer that they gave him was, well, our father did it, and their dad did it, and their dad did it. Because daddy said so, you're going to follow it. Was that a reason answer or a feeling answer? A feeling answer. So if your child asks, why are we Muslim? Because people are Christian, they have their reasons. People are Jewish, they have their reasons. People are Hindu, they have their reasons. People are atheist, they have their reasons. You're Muslim, what's our reason? And you say, listen, let's talk to your Baba right now. Teri burtiyan bana ke tujhe khilaungi. That shall not be translated. Right? Are you giving a reason answer or a feeling answer? And when you give a feeling answer, then you're closer to the pagans and the villagers of Ibrahim alayhi salam than Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? We believe in this religion for two reasons. Listen to this carefully. We believe that this religion is true for two basic reasons. One of those reasons is, if we think like Ibrahim alayhi salam about the sky, the earth, the universe, we think about life, we think about where life began, we think about, without opening any book, we just look at reality and we actually deeply think about reality, we will reach a certain conclusion about the world outside us and the world inside us. There has to be a God. There has to be, and it can only be one. That's one reason. The second reason is that Allah didn't just give us a book. Allah gave us a book and He told us, the more you think about this book, the more you seriously, deeply think about this book, the more it will become clear to you that this book cannot be from a human being. It can only be from God. So the more you learn it, the more convinced you get. The more you think about it, the more convinced you get. Which is why Allah talks to people and says, why don't they think deeply about the Quran? Because if they did, they would know that they wouldn't, if this was from anyone other than Allah, they would have found a problem in it. But they can't find any problem in this book. I had a friend in college who was a student of philosophy. You guys know what philosophy is? The younger kids might not know. Philosophy is they make They debate and argue about whether there's a God, whether there's not a God, where did the universe come from, what is inside of a human being, what's the soul. These kinds of questions are all philosophy questions. So he was studying philosophy, right? And he was an agnost. And does any of the college students can tell you what an agnost is? What's an agnost? Yeah.
Someone who believes in a creator.
No, not a Gnostic, an agnostic. That's a Gnostic, yes.
Someone who believes that there was a God who created everything, but then he let everyone be and didn't give it.
No, that's not an agnostic.
Oh.
No one knows what an agnostic is? Yeah? It's you. I picked on you. Yeah, you. He believes in Swiss cheese. What did you say?
Agnostic means that he doesn't believe in anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure about anything. Is there a God? Is there no God? I don't know. Is the religion true? Is it not true? I don't know. I'm not sure. They're the people that basically say, I'm not sure to everything. That's the agnost position, right? So he became agnostic. Then he said, because he's from a Muslim family, he couldn't tell his parents that he's become agnostic because they would have a lot of feelings, right? So he didn't tell them, but he decided to start studying Quran seriously, just for himself, for no other reason, just for himself, while he was in university. And I met him a year later, and he told me that I was literally, my mind, my brain was wrestling with the Quran. It was wrestling with the Quran. And that the Quran, it felt like the Quran would pin me down and defeat me. And then I'd wiggle out and make a new match, a new argument. And then I'd read more Quran and it would pin me down again. And then I'd make a new argument and it would pin me down again. And I kept losing these wrestling matches with the Quran until I just said, you know what, I give up. And I was like, isn't that what Islam means, to give up? To just give yourself up and just let go, right? He found Islam. How do we know this religion is true? My answer is two things. One is the journey of Ibrahim alayhi salam. That's one answer to that. So we have to learn to figure out that journey for ourselves, to think about the creation of the skies, the creation of the earth, contemplate this entire universe and how everything works together. We have to think about that. And the second is the Quran itself. The final thing Allah gave us, it takes away all these other thoughts. It takes away all the doubts. That's the meaning of He will purify them. Purify them from what? Purify them from doubts. Purify them from shirk. Purify them from disbelief. Purify them from the wrong ideas. Purify them from confusion. He purifies everything and you're left with just clarity. You're just left with, this is absolutely the truth. حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ, until it becomes clear to them that it's absolutely true. So we do know. We do know. In fact, we're the only religion. This is again so important with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Why was he different from all the people around him? Can you, now that you've heard so much about Ibrahim alayhi salam, can you tell me some things that makes him different from all the people around him? Yes? What's your name? Maryam. Yeah, tell me again, Maryam. Not you, Maryam. Not Maryam. Are you Maryam? She is Maryam. I should pick on you next. You look so innocent and scared. Yes.
He was different because in his religion, everyone was worshipping the idols and all these other gods. And then he was the only one who was like, why are you worshipping just a bunch of statues and it's just made of wood?
So he was thinking for himself. He was the only one who was thinking for himself. Everybody else was thinking like everyone else. You know what that's called? It's called groupthink. Groupthink. I don't have to think. Everybody's already doing the thinking. I'll just copy everybody else. I'll just follow the trend. Very good job, Maryam. Very good job. You know, when the Quran came, Allah told the Muslims to read. You know, the first revelation was read, right? What does someone do when they're reading? Which muscle in their body are they using when they're reading? Eyes. Not only the eyes. Eyes, tongue, go a little higher. How do you read? Forehead. When you read, you are thinking. All the other religions of the world wanted people to think less. All of them. Think less, follow more. You don't have to do the thinking, somebody else already did the thinking for you. Follow your priest, follow your sage, follow the monk, follow the whoever, follow them. Can I read it for myself? No, you're not qualified to read it. They'll read it. You just follow. Quran came in from the first day, it told people to think for themselves, didn't it? Read for themselves. The Quran restored what Ibrahim alayhi salam started. It took people back to what Ibrahim alayhi salam started. This is why the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam is so important. This is why the sacrifice story is so important. He separated our God from all the other gods. I don't want you to think that Allah wants us to go through pain and suffering. In fact, Allah made the religion easy through Ibrahim alayhi salam, and that's what we're going to discuss next. So I'm going to give you guys a good 10-minute break, make new friends and new enemies, and I will come back and talk to you in 10 minutes. Assalamu alaikum.